Hey everyone, it's Dr. K. So a top-down dominated movement is slow, it's cautious, and it's not very energy efficient. Whereas a thoughtless, fearless movement approach is where everything is basically doing its own job at the right time, at the right place. You know, it's much more efficient, it's a better movement pattern overall. So, you know, the idea is if I'm running on a trail and, you know, maybe my foot hits the floor and I'm at a, weird angle for whatever reason, my body has to process that information. It has to process it very fast. And so, I can wait for my brain to process it and go, okay, I want you to kick in this way and push that way. Or I can hope that the system self-organizes before I actually roll my ankle. So, we want a person to have thoughtless, fearless movement where, they don't have to be thinking about activating this muscle or that one or squeezing the glutes or tighten your core or push here, right? What we want is in real life, we want to be able to move through the real world, feeling strong, feeling powerful, feeling resilient. We want to be able to train and condition our bodies to a point where basically everything's kind of sorting it out and taking care of itself without us having to slow things down to think about it all. So, if I go to, move my hand to the screen, my intention is to move my fingertip to the screen, but I don't want to slow down and tell my biceps to start activating this way, and my pec to start pushing that way, and my deltoid to lift my arm. I want everything to take care of itself, and I want it to happen with thoughtless, fearless movement. Whereas someone who has shoulder pain, with that same intention of reaching the screen, they're going to be very slow and cautious, and they're going to be very rigid, and they're going to have to stop and think about whether or not it's safe to do it. So we would call that a top-down dominant system. So top down, it's slow, we're slowing things down, we're processing the world around us, we're trying to perceive a threat and see if it's safe to proceed. Again, even if we're in a little bit of pain and I'm moving cautious, that's totally cool, but what ends up happening is long term, it starts to impact our functionality. And sometimes, it just has a compound effect. So a top down approach is taking more time to process those perceived threats and what could happen or what might happen from around the world. Whereas thoughtless, fearless movement, it's basically a reaction to the reality around us. So, in our programming in office, we typically see people who are actually in pain. And so, we're starting off from a top-down approach where things are very slow and we're guarded and we're, having them think about, cleaning up their movement patterns, but it's in the progress to a thoughtless, fearless movement. So every time they come in, we're teaching their bodies to be a self-organizing system where everything's doing its own job at the right place at the right time. So, every time you come in here, we're trying to push you farther and farther away from, a top-down approach into a thoughtless, fearless movement spectrum. You're not getting the same old exercises every time you come in, and we're not doing cookie cutter medicine over here. It's basically how much work are you putting in between our sessions, and what is your body processing, and where can we kind of push you in the right direction. So to recap, thoughtless, fearless movement, it's basically movement variability, it's energy efficient. It means that you have options, you can perform, you're nice and relaxed, you're fluid. Even when you're working, you're in a relaxed kind of state. You're breathing really well. You feel light. So that's actually what we're shooting for. We don't want to be slow, cautious, rigid. We don't want to be tied down to limited movement variability, movement options. And so what we want to work towards is thoughtless, fearless movement. So if you're struggling with something in the gym, whether it's pain or you're constantly hitting a plateau on some of your training goals, what I want you to think about is just taking a step back and ask yourself, am I tackling this problem from a top-down approach, or do I have thoughtless, fearless movement? And that should give you at least an idea about where you actually are, and give you clarity on how bad the problem is and what you need to do to solve it. Because if you have clarity, then that means that you can be moving towards a better position, a better goal. So I hope this helped you get some clarity on that. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope we can take care of that along the way. Stay strong, inspire others.